Is Tony gonna join us today or is he?
Is traveling, he is not.
Okay.
able to-
All right, well, let's get it going. I'll call the meeting to order. First, first order of business, I'm gonna just take a quick roll for the commissioners to establish quorum. Commissioner Morris. Here. Commissioner Metropolis. Here. Commissioner Taylor.
Here.
And Tony is excused, so with 4 of us here, we have a quorum. So let's go around the room, maybe starting with Commissioner Morris, just a quick introduction around the table here.
Steve Morris, Helena, Montana.
John Metropolis, Helena, Montana.
Theo Priggy, Butte, Montana.
Bob Brown, Helena, Montana. I guess I say now.
Scott Sales, soon to be former director and soon to be Gallatin County.
Brian Costigan, lottery security.
Luke Charpentier, IT Services Director.
Sergeant Finance Director for the Montana Lottery.
Dan Charpentier, Sales and Marketing Director at Montana Lottery.
You'll go on the. Let's do good. The in-person first, then we'll go to folks online, so go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Shauna Helford with the Gaming Industry Association. Brenda McGee, Accounting Tech.
Ed Johnston, Intralot General Manager.
Hey, Bond is the product manager, Montana Lottery.
Jennifer Fritz with the Went Agency.
Scott Richner with Scientific Game. Logan Jackson, Sales Manager, Montana Lottery.
John Iverson with the Montana Tavern Association.
Rhonda Wiggers with the Montana Coin Machine Operators Association.
Dan Iverson, Montana Lottery Content Manager.
Samantha Harper, Marketing Coordinator at Intralot.
Hey, maybe Phil, do you want to maybe go through this folks online?
For the record, Dan Betcher has joined Brady Schultz. CMB 661 is Corey. I forget her last name. Radliff, thank you. CX 0777, Kayla Drake, Paul Ostendorf, Stephanie Ping.
And I see we have,
Cassie Culkin is my moderator.
okay, and then Commissioner Taylor is online.
I'm here.
Okay, I'll turn this over to Scott to say a few words and introduce our new director.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is my 12th and final Lottery Commission meeting. It's been a pleasure to serve down here at the lottery. And I want to express my thanks to the governor for the opportunity to do that. And it's really has been my pleasure to serve with all you guys. Known any of you for a long period of time, but it's been wonderful. So with that, I want to introduce our newest employee. Well, I'll get to Bob, but Brenda McGee, she's our part-time accounting tech. She joined us a month or two ago. She's a mother of 5 kids, lives here in Helena for the last 26 years. And she's been a state employee for 19 years. So I want to welcome her to the lottery. Thank you so much for joining us. And Bob has been appointed by the governor to be the new director. He's got roughly 10 years of experience in the legislature. So I'm sure a couple of our commissioners have some experience with Bob. He served 4 years, so roughly 4 or 3 and change in the Senate and 6 years in the House, and he was vocationally, he was a contractor over in the Trout Creek, Thompson Falls area for many years. And I think he's a Washingtonian, born and raised over in Washington. So I want to welcome Bob as the new director of the Montana Lottery. Mr. Chairman, that's it.
All right, welcome. Look forward to working with you.
And look forward to working with you all.
You're in good hands here with the staff, I know, and I think the lotteries come, it's a lot there. I think this is close to my 20th year on the commission or 15th year on the commission, and in that area. I don't even know, but it's changed a lot since I first started, and there's a lot going on. So I think it's gonna be, I think you're gonna find it a good experience and great people to work with, and look forward to, you know, the future success of the lottery. So, I guess with that, looks like the next item on the agenda is opening up for some initial public comments. So if there's some of the times we'll offer some public opportunity to comment as we go through the agenda here. But if there's something that, you know, that somebody wants to get the meeting started off with some comments, we'd appreciate to hear that up front. So, just some general comments about the lottery. Is there anything in the room first? Okay, hearing none. How about folks online? You raised hands, okay. Okay, seeing none, let's proceed through the agenda, which, the first item always would be the, am I missing do we need to approve minutes, or no, we don't need to do that anymore, do this? Just because we're doing our online minutes, and that's, we're all on video, I guess, it's not a reminder, okay, that's just my.
Showing your age.
Yeah. Institutional memory here, running these meetings, okay, so let's go to the financial report with Director Sargent. And if he gets,
They're all in it.
I'm holding the door.
It's my turn.
Yep, you're up.
All right, this is for December. Still having a really good year. Nothing really out of whack that you're gonna see, but let's dive into the numbers. I can have you turn to page 2 of the actual financials. Bless you.
Thanks.
Are we all good to go? All right. At the very top, we have total current assets of 17,384,000. These are roughly 388,000 higher than last year. Main difference is based on when our weekends and when we get our sweep. We have a full week of leave that we have not received yet. So receivables are higher. Cash is a little low. Non-current assets going down a little bit. 1,907,000. These decreased by roughly 212,000 compared to last year. Again, main difference is we have accumulated amortization we have to record now for leases. And, you know, accumulated depreciation as normal operating. Accumulated depreciation increased by 21,000, which is a negative. And amortization increased by 207,000, which is also a negative. Current liability is going further down. There was an increase in our accounts payable, 530,000, due to the fact that we had 3 invoices that we still owed in Intralot that we have not paid yet. Prize liability increased by 1,095,000 due to jackpots, our share of low tier prizes, stuff like that. So normal operating adjustments. Going down farther, non-current liabilities of 4,024,000. This is 76,000 lower than last year. Most of the decrease is due to the new GASB. supporting leases. So obviously when we keep paying leases, that goes down. And our OPEB liability actually too. That's calculated by D of A. They throw it on our books on our behalf. So we have no control over that. But on the offset, there was an increase in our pension liability. Pension liability went up 434,000. Yeah, so calculation made by state accounting. It's thrown on our books. So overall, increases and decreases result in total assets and deferred outflows of roughly 19.9 million, which is 408,000 higher than last year. So, not a big difference. Page 3. Operating revenue for 6 months ended 12/31 for 84,925,000. 84 million, which is an increase of 3,029,000 compared to last year, or a 3.7% increase. For the 6 months ended, scratch revenue increased 0.9%. Or ball for 14.9%. Montana Millionaire, because of the increase. How many tickets do we increase that?
The last was at 380,000, we increased by eight. All the times that I've been there.
Anyway, we have an increase in tickets.
Sorry.
We sold out in a day. So Montana Millionaire increased 35.7%. Treasure Play 0.4%. Lucky for Life increased 6.8%. And Sports Bet increased by 11.3%. On the flip side, Montana Cash decreased by 46.8% because we had the huge jackpot last year. Don't have that. Mega Millions decreased by 6.6%. Big Sky Bonus 4%. Lotto America 29.5%. Direct game costs increased approximately 3.5 million, which goes along with our revenue, for a 5.5% increase. The increase in operating revenues, increase in direct game costs resulted in net operating revenue of 17.182 million, which is 475,000 lower. Going down to the big section in the middle, overall operating expenses of 2.592 million. Increased by 211,000, or 8.9% increase. As always, there's increases and decreases, but as far as the bigger change, we had an increase in our audit fees, which we have no control over. Personal services, which would be our wages, benefits, all that kind of stuff. And supplies and materials. The audit fees increased by roughly 41,000. Told you it's just based on when they bill us. Personal services increased 145,000. Increased pay, yearly raises, and being hourly staffed. Supplies and materials increased 92,000. This is due to purchase of dispensers, computer equipment, gasoline prices, and what ITS charges us for service. We have no control. Little section down there, non-operating revenue or expenses. They increased by 611. This is just due to amount we invest and our rate of return. So the combination of 2.7% decrease in net operating revenue, 8.9% increase in operating expenses resulted in a transfer of 7.661 million transfer, which is 1,056,000 lower than last year's second quarter, or a 12.1% decrease. Any questions so far?
Just the comment on that, you could really just kind of shows the different margins that you have in the games where you could have sales that are kind of in parity within a quarter at on a top line level, but the margin is less because the increase in revenue was from sports bet, which carries a lot less bang for your buck to our books than Powerball jackpot.
We also have less fun playing prizes,
Right,
so.
but that, I was wondering if it was the million, but that wouldn't have been until next quarter, right? That's gonna show up next quarter,
Right,
What,
or the unclaimed
Oh.
millionaire from
It'll be
last
the
year.
last quarter of the year.
that was last year.
last year.
Oh, that was last year.
We had all the prices claimed this year.
Okay,
So yeah, I mean, it's a combination of a lot of things, but, you know, we also had extra expenses that we rated on, because we're always budget friendly, trying to keep under. So.
Cool questions?
Okay, going on to the budget, which is right where we should be. For the 6 months ended 12/20 or 12/31, revenues are at 57.21%. Which is good. Direct costs are 59.4%. Again, we talked about unclaimed prices, stuff like that. Operating expenses at 46.29%, so budget there. The net income's right where it should be, 50.64%. Any questions on that one? Well, done with the boring stuff. All right, page 5. Jana too. This is a statement that shows each game by net income
Mhm.
and percentage. It's not a science. We could change it, you know, a lot of it depends on what we spend our time on. But this is our best guess. As you can see, scratch is at 12.39. Last year was 15.67. Powerball was at 37.34. 35.37 last year, so identical. Ten of cash, identical, 29.37. Last year, 30.27. Mega Million or Montana Millionaire, 28.45. 27.56. Identical again. Mega Millions, same thing, 37.05, 35.86 last year. Treasure Play was at 4.01. Last year was at 13.35. You cannot go off those percentages because it depends on when there's a jackpot going on and if it gets paid right before. Big Sky Bonus, 14.37. 15.08 last year. Lotto America identical, 33.16, 35.38 last year. Sports bet pretty much the same, 5.85. And 6.31 last year. The following 29 pages are exciting notes of the financials. Any questions?
Are there any questions from the commission?
No.
I don't have any questions, any further questions, so I entertain a motion to approve the financial report for the quarter as presented by Ron. Thanks, Commissioner Metropolis. Sir. Second. By
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Hearing none, the financial report is approved. Thank you, Orman. Moving through the agenda to the IT report by Director Charpentier.
Thank you, Chairman. Philip Charpentier, IT Services Director. For the record, since the last commission meeting, excuse me, the security director and I traveled to the Intralot corporate office for our semi-annual physical security walkthrough, our incident review, and our lottery expectations meeting with key stakeholders in Duluth, Georgia. This visit also coincided with another project we had been working on with our internal control system vendor, Alstom. We have updated our internal control system operating system server in the Duluth Intralot office during that visit to the latest and greatest operating system and security patches. That ICS project has been fully completed and successful across all ICS systems here in Helena, in Duluth, and also in our test environment. Montana Lottery IT department has also tested and deployed a number of central system, back office system, and terminal software updates and upgrades this past quarter. Several updates, several fixes. However, one of particular interest is the addition of the alphanumeric pay receipt or alphanumeric pay amounts on sports betting kiosk pay receipts. So the payment amount displayed on the receipt is also spelled out in words now, directly below the printed numeric amount, making it more difficult to attempt to alter that receipt amount. This is one of a handful of updates we have tasked our vendor with making to provide more robust security features related to those pay receipts. The other upgrades are still in progress, and I can report on those after we have implemented them. I can tell you that we have heard from our largest chain in the field and some things they are doing with their pay receipts, and we're working towards similar solutions. We appreciate all ideas from our partner sales agents, and we're acting on those recommendations now. So that is in progress. This past quarter, we also performed the Montana Millionaire Grand Prize drawing on December 26th without issue. On wood, everything went fine. We performed our central system switchover just this past Tuesday. This is where we exercise the ability to run out of the secondary facility for our traditional side and sports betting side. So currently, we will run out of the Helena Intralot office for the next 5 months before switching back to the Duluth Intralot office for traditional and billings for sports bet. Flip-flop. It's a muscle requirement, and we also test out sports betting as well. This past quarter, we also attended the legislative security audit meeting to discuss the latest LegSec audit results with that committee. 2 findings came from that audit, and we are acting on both action items now. Speaking of IT security, I've also requested Intralot trigger the next round of penetration testing on our customer-facing lottery assets. That's our mobile apps and our websites. Every year, a third party performs those pen tests, and any discovered vulnerabilities are resolved afterwards. Those results and subsequent updates to follow are in progress now as well. Looking forward to the next quarter, the IT department will be testing and helping to implement the summer scratch promotion, and we'll be mentioning this promo a little bit later. We will also be testing a user experience UI UX upgrade, user interface user experience on the Dream Touch touchscreen player activated terminals. They will be getting a facelift early this summer. So that's nice. It's a long time coming. We're also working on finalizing our RFI, request for information, from interested parties for the upcoming lottery operating system contract. The current contract with Intralot ends on March 31st, 2026. And we will be publishing our RFI very soon, Monday, as a matter of fact, followed by the RFP afterwards. The goal is to get the new contract signed at least 12 months in advance of the end of the current contract. That's all I have at high level. Here to answer any questions.
Director, I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
What were the legislative audit findings?
The audit findings both revolved around improving our enterprise and IT governance experience and knowledge. So now we have key staff taking courses, and some of us are also even getting certified in those knowledge platforms. So we're constantly looking to improve our IT security posture, and we appreciate the opportunity to do so.
Thank you.
You bet.
So when this contract comes up, so that it's rebid, right? And I'm sure it's got parameters and what these guys have to bid on. To give Intralot a huge advantage to already have the contract against, I don't know, who else bids Scientific Games. I don't know the other players, but
There are three main vendors out there: Scientific Games, Intralot, and IGT. The one way to avoid giving the current vendor a upper hand is basically what we're doing, which is to bid all new equipment, all new terminals, all new back end. Everything is fresh. Everybody's on the same playing field. So that's how.
As a state agency, we don't always have to. Normally go with the lesser price.
do all the terminals belong to Intralot?
We just lease them, right?
We don't know.
We don't even lease them.
No.
It's there.
Contracted.
It's just part of the the fee that we pay weekly.
And so that includes all that equipment.
They just put that in there.
Capital upgrade.
Well, yeah, so if we were to, if somebody else was to get the contract, and it's kind of a huge deal, right? Replacing all of that equipment.
No matter what, it's a huge deal. All equipment's gonna be replaced.
Expense.
Even if Intralot retains it.
Even playing field. We can't give the current vendor a upper hand by keeping the same equipment.
And additionally, if I may, it's time to replace the equipment we have. We've had it and we'll have it for 10 years. And that's far too long for a technological, equipment out there that are, is going through what it's going through out there with player use and terminal and clerk use. It's time to change the terminals and get the newest availability, because that's another 8 to 10 years that we're.
Is that in the contract, the period of time that it takes to do that new rollout?
This is why we want to sign a year in advance to prepare for a conversion, what we call. And that can be preparations where terminals are dropped at locations, live in a box and gets turned on. It's usually a big bang where we have to turn on new equipment. So it's a process. We've been through it several times. And at the end of the day, we have to follow procurement requirements, and that's what we're doing.
Can you go over the chronology again for me, but I think I'm remembering it's the end of March 26th.
Yeah.
When the current contract ends. So the aspiration anyway is to have the new one resolved and in place by the end of March 25.
Correct.
So probably this March meeting next year would be. We'd probably be taking a vote on that if under this timeline.
Absolutely, yeah, we'll be coming to you with our apparent successful bidder after the scoring process, after the entire RFP.
I guess just through that process, the more info we have ahead of that meeting, the better, obviously, and throughout the process, if there's keeping us informed on how that's going and, you know, as it goes, because I know there's a real formal procurement process here. You know, the more info we have, the better.
It's not true,
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember there was calls, and I remember we'll probably have some Zoom calls and stuff, but I think I speak for everyone here, that the more info we have, the better on this whole process.
100% transparency is key. We're gonna make sure that we follow the rules. We're gonna make sure you're informed. The RFI will go out, as I said, on Monday. We'll give interested parties the opportunity to show us their wares, so to speak, for the next month, which will allow us to refine our RFP, request for proposal, saying, oh, I like that. I'm gonna add that here. And we're gonna add all that into the RFP, get that RFP posted as quickly as possible following the RFI visits. And then, of course, allowing the vendors the opportunity to respond to the RFP. And then we'll go into the scoring phase where we have 5 selected folks here at the lottery who are going to score with procurement's assistance. And we'll keep you up to date as we go along.
Do you foresee like letting the stakeholders like the Tavern Association, the courthouse, maybe see this equipment, maybe, you know, and have some, so that you get a little more public input?
We can absolutely consider that, and that would be something that Ann would have to put together with some sort of a presentation, if you will, or demonstration.
I will say that some of the information that we receive, especially in the RFP process, is confidential and cannot be, it needs to be redacted for public use. So there would be maybe some issues there doing that. We'd have to work within the responses to determine if we could do that. We know though, you know, from so much of what we do with our, you know, with our partners at the, you know, in the casinos and the bars and in our clerk active, you know, clerk locations as well, of what, you know, where the needs are. We feel we have a very strong idea of that, and especially with our LSR staff, they've been able to identify a lot of needs and requirements coming forward that should hopefully, I would soon be on par with what everyone else would want to see.
Yeah, I'm just kind of talking about like a mini trade show kind of thing. When you have the equipment in-house, that people maybe could be invited or, you know, just to take a look at it.
Potentially, we'll have to look to see what is available to do that with the vendors.
Depends whether they want to let their technology out.
That's exactly what it is. They may not want to go extend out, but beyond the lottery, who's holding the contract. So we'll have to work that out. That's never been done. We, of course, you know, lotteries have always taken into consideration all of the public comment, you know, that we receive, plus working so directly with all of our.
It's pretty hard to get public comment if there's no public availability to the product. You know, it's like, we're just taking your word for it.
Hopefully you trust us to do the right thing, but I, you know, I know what you're saying, and I think we just have to work with procurement and with the vendors that end up responding to see if that is something that we are able to do.
If you've only got 3, it shouldn't be that difficult.
Well,
true, and we're doing the RFI a little differently. It's not posted at the moment, so once that does come out, the vendors will see what we're requiring or requesting of them for information. When I say show us your wares, that is their opportunity to show us what they have. so we can define our RFP and what we're looking for afterwards. And that's coming up, and I don't want to get too deep in the RFI process, but it'll be posted on Monday.
Well, I know that when we initiated sports betting, that some of the players came in the lottery was part of that,
We did, yeah.
and showed some, different equipment
Mhm.
and what they were capable of. It made, for better public comment. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with what Commissioner just drew a blank. What the commissioner said. There's value, there's a great value to transparency and having the public have their right to say. And without information, it is hard for them to comment substantively. So I agree with what the commissioner's saying.
I will definitely follow up with procurement to see what we can do for that.
Right. Okay, Commissioner Taylor, do you have any questions for
No, thank you.
Director
That
Sharp?
happens, we'll get older.
Okay, well, thanks, Phil. Appreciate it. We'll move along here to the Intralot Report with Patrick Johnston. Welcome, Patrick.
Thanks, Johnston, General Manager, Intralot, Montana. First, I want to say thanks to Scott Sales for the relationship we've had over the last couple of years, and look forward to continuing with Director Brown. On to housekeeping stuff. We've hired a new field technician in the Billings area. He started last month and he's hit the ground running, and we're pleased with his performance so far. Vacant positions, we have 2 open in Helena. One is our marketing manager and another is a technician here in the Helena office. And lastly, we are also in the process of updating our field service vehicles. We've got 3 left to do and we'll be done in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you. Any questions for Austin? Okay, thank you. Moving on to the marketing and sales report with Director Adjournment here.
Thank you. Good morning. As you know, I'll have a presentation here to show you all the fun charts and things. Of course, at any point, if you have any questions, please feel free to just type in.
But I have more things open here. I'm so sorry. It's ridiculous.
So, moving to the next slide.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, do you want? Okay, thank you. All right. I'm gonna move this, can't I?
Yes, you can.
Okay. On top, I think. Okay, so although the growth is minimal and some products are performing better than others, I want to state for perspective that these numbers reflect a sales performance after a multiple year of record growth. We have 4 months of the fiscal year remaining and happy to report that we are about even in our total sales as compared to the same time frame last year. This chart looks at all our products compared to last fiscal year up to week 36. Successes so far this year come from our Powerball and Scratch games and the larger jackpots from earlier this fiscal year. Lucky for Life has been popular with players, sustaining a 3.4% increase. Sportsbet Montana wagering continues to grow along with the popularity of the product line with a healthy 4.9% increase. Some games seeing notable downturns would be Mega Millions, Montana Cash, and Lotto America, principally due to large jackpots that these games had back in fiscal year 23. We do have a very high Mega Millions jackpot right now, which should help narrow that sales gap. And overall, we are pleased with the performance of our products so far. And with the current growth of the Mega Millions jackpot, as well as the Powerball jackpot, well over the $500 million mark right now. We know that we will be able to make up much of what the sales between this year and last year. A quick look at Treasure Play, our product line sold in our bars and taverns across the state. A few great jackpots with our progressive games have driven sales to even out our performance to essentially the same level as last fiscal year. We are confident that with our current $20 loaded progressive game and its jackpot of well over $100,000 right now, we will achieve a greater sales total than last year. This will be supported with a full TV campaign and as well, the Treasure Play product line is, as well as utilizing our digital assets to advertise jackpots and game features that appeal to casino patrons. And regarding Montana Cash, it's suffering a bit by comparison to the record year it had last year. Jackpots certainly paved the way for success in games like this one. Drawing our attention to the chart in the center of the slide. In a nutshell, the performance of sales for each jackpot run tells us that the similar performance of the last run compared to the February 23 run didn't yield much of a change. So jackpot fatigue, as we've discussed many times in this room, we don't believe is a factor in this result. In our assessment, the current state of inflation, the economic stress being felt by Montanans could be a reason for a flattening of that performance. And regarding Scratch, Scratch sales have been very similar to what they were last year at the same time, which was a record year for the product. Game optimization has helped bring increased sales, and the introduction of the $30 price point will, in our confident opinion, will move the needle upward. So speaking a little bit more about the 30. Geez, catchy. So speaking directly to this $30 game, Millionaire Maker has exceeded our expectations right out of the gate. The predicted sellout for this game with the current performance, as you can see on these two charts, will likely be in July. To put this launch success in perspective, we estimated this game would sell out in 18 months. Based on $20 price point, game performance is what we base that upon. Obviously, this game will sell out long before that, more like 6 months. And as a result, a new $30 game is being moved up into our game planning schedule. So we're very pleased with the performance of the 30. Been very, very popular and very successful. And we have yet to see a winner as of yet, or the top prize winner. So we are preparing for our featured summer scratch game, which will be a $10 Chevy Silverado game. Launching in May, this game will have 2 trucks to give away. One within the game as an instant win, and the second will be through the Trucks Plus Bucks second chance drawing, which will hold in September. This is our second year doing a truck game in the summer especially, and with the success of last year's game and the feedback from players and sales agents alike, we wanted to provide the truck prize again, along with the added value of a higher instant win cash prize, which is that $150,000 instant win as well. Geez. Okay, so let's talk about Montana Millionaire. As you know, this is an action item for the commission. Wanted to just revisit our 23 performance, just to give everybody a reminder of how that went. Before we go into the 24 design. Montana Millionaire went on sale November 1st last year and exceeded all our expectations for sellout. It was on sale for almost 5 hours, the fastest sellout on record, and all 3 Millionaire prizes have been claimed, as I mentioned before. So for this year, so the 2024 design is a compilation of the player and sales agent feedback that we received after the sellout last year. We have also kept in mind what we make a priority every time we go into planning this game for the next year, which is the sustainability of the game, while ensuring that we maximize the revenue to the state of Montana. This year's design highlights are listed there in blue. We propose increasing the tickets available for sale to 500,000, an increase of 120,000 tickets. This allows us to add another Millionaire prize, so $1 million prize, making 4 in total to this proposed design. Even with these changes, we were able to improve the overall odds of the game, offer more instant wins at the $100 and the $500 levels, and still maintain the same payout percentage of the game that we did for last year. So one significant change is how we are branding what used to be known as the early bird drawings. We are proposing we change the date of the draw to a more centered date in the calendar between when we start selling and when we actually do the drawing after Christmas. So specifically, we're looking at December 2nd and brand the drawing $250,000 Monday. With this, we have increased the prize to $250,000, $250,000, and a much more exciting prize while shifting away from the early bird draw branding, which we haven't really needed an early bird type of encouragement of sales for quite some time. So as you know, again, this is an action item for the commission, and we're really excited about this game design, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Yes, sir.
Price.
A lot of the feedback that we received was not favorable to increasing the price point. It's not off the table for a future time, but as of right now, we from that, at least right now, kept it the $20 price point.
Just seems like you've got such a winner here, and I know that you guys feel somewhat that you don't want to screw with that. But I mean, in my experience in gaming and things, that the lottery is here to make a profit for Montana. Now, this is somewhere where we have hit a home run, but maybe we could hit a grand slam. And just to me, I mean, I don't think raising the price $5 or $10 is going to jeopardize those sales. I mean, it might take 24 hours to sell them, but that's kind of a bonus too, because people get mad when they get shut out. Increasing the tickets will help. But I just think we're missing a little bit of a profit center here that we could focus on and bring a little more revenue in.
Commissioner, I think one of the couple of things that we looked at, and trust me, there have been very healthy discussions over this amongst the directors and staff. We've given another opportunity. We wanted to know what the appetite for possibly a $30 ticket would be. So we have that scratch ticket in place now that is helping us understand that market better. And we're not quite ready yet to do any other changes to costs of this at that point until we better understand what the appetite is. And I see what you're saying, and I don't disagree with you. But this is the way that we thought that we could best protect this game and still increase.
What are we protecting it from?
Getting oversaturated.
Oversaturated.
Well, obviously, it's not.
It's unique right now. We don't want to make it.
I know, and we have this conversation every time we bring it up. The $30 scratch ticket is doing great, And it's like, owning a bar or a hotel or whatever, you're always afraid to raise the price. Like you bite the bullet and nobody really cares. They just go along with it and they're happy to still do what they do.
I'd be curious what the, what the true average cost of the ticket is, meaning that what's the average purchase on this thing? So for selling 250,000 tickets or, on the old 380 on the old game, but somebody's buying 4 of them, they're really you know what I'm saying? The number of tickets, they're really, under this thing, they're really spending $80. On that ticket, on that purchase,
Right.
and so if you bump that price up to 30, then that person might still might just decide to go 60 on, right?
My bet is they'd go 120.
Right, that would be the thing, but that's what gets tricky with these raffle games, because then, if you're talking about selling 380, selling out the game, I mean, that if you don't sell out the game and then you're stuck paying, and you get stuck paying the prizes, you could take it in the shorts. So I don't know what, I mean, do we have numbers on that? How many
Yeah,
people,
we do.
people's buying multiple tickets, I'm assuming?
So when we did the research that we did about a year and a half ago on Millionaire specifically, it was determined that the average Montana Millionaire purchaser is purchasing 4 tickets at a time. That's the average.
And that would make sense, because the numbers is there's 1 million and change people in the state of Montana. So
Right.
we're not half the people in the state are buying this ticket. It's, there's a bunch of people that are buying this ticket, but there's people are walking out of there with
Absolutely.
10 of those things.
Some 1, some,
Yeah.
10,
Right.
depending on.
So if we took that right there and we just changed that top number to $30, everything else would follow. And so would our net profit go up by 1/3?
Yes, I mean, it would go up, obviously. We would need to adjust the other payouts.
What?
Well, it's going to affect everything below the percentages and things. So we're gonna want to still keep, our odds, our overall odds of winning. All of that will need to just be adjusted. But yeah, I mean, it's probably, yes, it will. It will just provide more revenue.
Food for thought, if we offer a product where you spend $20 to win $1 million, and now we're saying now you have to spend $30 to win $1 million, that could potentially harm the product as well. So we would have to consider changing that grand prize.
But you already did. You bumped it up to 4.
For still at 20, still at better odds, 125,000 to 1 to win one of those.
And there were 2 last year? 3. So we bumped it up 1. That basically justifies that price increase. I mean, so they're getting something for the extra $10 and their odds increase.
So they don't
Increased
see it that
revenue
way.
because of extra tickets.
Yeah.
Right.
Even at the same price point.
I understand. I just think we're missing a little.
I understand what you're saying. I think that when we brought it up with people, as we, travel around the state and talk to everybody, and believe me, everybody had an opinion to provide. We've had multiple conversations, still do to this very day. One of the things that we asked was, would you, what do you think about increasing the cost? That one was met with a lot more of a negative response from people. They said, oh, that's just government trying to take more money from me. Of course they're gonna raise the price, because they raise the price on everything, kind of calling it a money grab from the state. And that perception was pretty prevalent.
That's valid, but you're
It's
talking
valid.
to the consumer.
Yeah,
You know.
well, we're talking about sales agents. I mean, everybody, it was a little bit of everyone. It wasn't just, players. It was, those that are selling the game, buying the game also, in many respects. So, we took those comments pretty seriously. It isn't as mentioned, we looked at raising the price. We looked at $25, being, as we know, the 4 tickets per purchase is an average. That would make it $100 purchase for that average 4. It's pretty significant though, too. And then, one of the other comments I'll just throw out there that we heard a lot of as well is it's expensive right now with everything. And, you know, for us to increase that cost wasn't really keeping in mind the economic situation that people are in, and that we should keep it at the $20 level. And we heard that pretty often as well, you know, property taxes, all the, you know, all the things that people are dealing with. So for that reason, we kept it at 20 and tried to show more value in the purchase with offering the additional Millionaire prize, and with the additional, you know, instant wins and then obviously increasing the number of tickets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Director Frost, you were saying you're using a $30 scratch ticket kind of to study to look at the appetite for a $30. So does that study have metrics, or I mean, how are you assessing that?
I don't know if we have metrics to be honest with you.
Well, and I can go back to this. This is the start of those metrics, right? This is where we just launched this game in March, the beginning of March, or I'm sorry, the beginning of February. And we are just now learning, you know, that appetite. What level of interest do Montanans who play Scratch, how interested are they in that price point? And clearly they're interested. You know, this is something that we have seen. Now, this is a new game, and that inevitably causes a lot more of an interest right out of the gate. So we don't feel we have enough. We want to see long-term what this does. And also when we put that second 30 out, which will probably be late summer, you know, as this one is selling as quickly as it is, we'll have more information about how the 30 is being viewed. And of course, a lot of it has to do with the top prize, and we know that as well. When you put $1 million top prize in a scratch game, you know, that draws a lot of interest.
$30.
For $30, exactly.
With a Millionaire ticket out there, $30.
I'll tell you this, there's only 180,000 tickets on the scratch.
Is a year's time, do you guys feel like that's enough to assess this?
I think so, yes.
Because I think Commissioner Morris has a good point. But I think you do too, you know. So I just want to make sure we are actually gathering data and that's
Yeah,
useful.
absolutely, all the time,
So-
yes, absolutely.
I'm just curious how long it takes to pull a trigger. I mean, we've seen in the Millionaire tickets that we're not extending the sales period, we're shortening it. 24 hours is actually stupid.
It's 5 this year.
5 hours.
5 hours, I mean, yeah. And people got shut up, people are angry and now you've got this scratch ticket, $30. You projected 18 months to sell it out, you're gonna sell it out at 5.
Yes.
I mean, when does the light bulb kind of go off and we say, all right, if it doesn't work, we can, you know, but it's still gonna work. I mean, it might take you 30 days to sell those
But
tickets.
this is not a risk that we're willing to take as an agency with the state's money. You know, we want to make sure that what we're putting out there is carefully designed, considered, tested, you know, as much as we can prior to. We knew the 30 was a price point we needed to move up into. Industry-wide, that's what everyone is doing. We've got tickets out there that are $50 tickets, $100 tickets.
Sure.
And I agree, believe me, I'm right there with you. But I think that there is also, you know, there's times for things to be put out, and the right game has to be put out. And because what we do on the higher price, you know, price points affects the lower as well. And it affects what people will, because those $20 players are probably moving to the 30. What is that doing to our $20, you know, price point? And what changes do we need to make there? I mean, this is a constant moving target that we're looking at with GS.
Commissioner Metropolis, how long, my question in is, I think, how long does it take before we are ready with the Millionaire? We've been thinking around with this for quite a while. The $30 scratch tickets are new, but how long does it really take to get that data and make a decision? It just seems like it kind of takes
It can, you're right, it can take a long time. It can take, again, things are different when you put out the game and, when it's new and exciting and everybody's clamoring kind of for it. And then can be a waning, of that excitement. You have to see where that leveling off kind of lands. Is it landing too low where you're not selling like you wanted to and you need to make some major changes? Or is it going to continue to have this trajectory of sales? And we can go ahead and start running things 30 far more often, including Millionaire. So I think that we may be moving too slow for your liking. I think that we're just trying not to also provide something to the player that they're not wanting or that they're not expecting. And that they look at us like, oh, they're just coming after all my money and I'm not going to play anymore. Because that can happen. And I think that is what we learned from other states with other raffle games. That's basically what killed their raffle games. They went to the pot too often. They put too much, right up front. I mean, one thing that we've done right is we've taken these kind of small, calculated, strategic steps to get to this point. 18 years. Nothing is wrong with this design. I can tell you that this is what we've been doing is great. Now, did we expect it to sell out in 5 hours? No way. We did not. That was just as much a surprise to us as it was anybody. And that kind of excitement around this is fantastic. We don't want to lose that. And that's just always what is top of mind when we go into these designs. So yeah, I know I think the 30 or a 25 is definitely something for us to consider, and we will definitely do that for the next round.
We'll raise the price for that.
Awesome.
Did you just say that?
Possibly, very loudly, possibly.
Janet, please cover.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes. My friends are all creatures of habit. And I don't think they want to go to December. I mean, they're all ready. They get their money ready beginning of November 1st. And I think $30 makes a lot of sense. But my friends are all in such a habit. They got their $20 bills ready. So, I think $30 is certainly good. But I don't even like changing the date.
Right.
Yeah,
Agreed.
it seems like a conservative step. I mean, was this? If I remember right, that the initial game was like 120,000 tickets, right?
Yes.
For $1 million.
We-
It's kind of like just keep adding a game almost, right?
We didn't
Right.
sell out.
No,
Right,
we started
but
with
still-
150,000.
Oh, 150, okay.
Did not sell out, was well below sellout actually. It took 5 years to sell out this game the first time. And it barely sold out. I mean, it sold out like very like a couple of days before.
We probably
And so it's taken a long time to get to this point. And I think, again, strategic, decision-making, I think has really been biggest success of this game is, giving more value every year that we can, that we felt we were able to. Making adjustments where we knew the players were providing good feedback and what they wanted. And a lot has changed with this game over the 18 years based on that feedback that we've received. Including this design.
Is the net percentage to the lottery on Millionaire? 25.
It is an action item.
That's public comment.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Public comment.
I just got a question. And so it says on here that the 2023 Montana Millionaire had a margin of 29%. And for the 2024, are we maintaining or growing the margin or relative to last year?
It's 28,
Pardon?
28.45.
For 2024?
23, oh yeah, for 23. I believe it is it's almost identical from what I understand, and I'm going back to the numbers here. But I believe it's the same. Check that.
So Commissioner Morris looks at raising the price. I look at, why don't we improve our margin? We need to maximize revenue in the state of Montana. When we have a product that customers clearly want, why can't we improve our margin on that one? Changes.
Yeah.
Big issue. It's.
Sorry.
I had two questions. Back on the page where you were doing who sells, wondering what the MPNG stood for on where your sales went for Montana right there. What was the MPNG?
MPNG is our treasure plate terminal.
There's the terminal. So then what's the wind station and the Dream Touch?
At the wind station is one of the big top light vending machines. It's got the buttons on the front.
Right.
And the Dream Touch is actually the touch screen version.
Touchscreen, okay. And then, we're also looking at your $30 scratch ticket, as we were discussing raising the price of the back, in the back row where you were. On that slide, would you explain that slide to us a little bit?
Sure. This one here?
Yeah, so is that 425 tickets a week being sold, or is that 400 along the edge, not the number being sold?
So the bigger chart there is your activations. What that is that's when retailers receive a pack of that ticket, which has 20 tickets in a pack. That's what we're measuring, is that activation period.
Yeah.
So that's a per pack. So we have 400 plus packs every week being activated for this game. And Black Line obviously being a $20 game, that's been, we're comparing this to. You see what that's.
425 times 20 now, 425. So we were wondering how you moved to 30 if you were only selling short.
Oh, right.
5 tickets a week. That didn't look like that was going to pan out.
No. Yeah, and then the sales is just looking at like the actual dollar.
I don't know, how these guys finesse that.
Locations average, you guys think they sold.
Yeah.
But people show. Okay, Jenna?
No, nothing.
Okay. Another question from Commissioner Matsapos.
So if we were to say, let's decide this in June, so that we get a few more months data on the $30 scratch ticket. Is that doable?
I would have to defer to IT because that's it's software and development time that is needed to make that game available for November. So I would maybe.
Try to get close. We typically have specification moving forward from this point from March in order to have the developers be able to accommodate those changes, especially if we're looking at changing something as significant as the ticket cost. The more time, the better. So, June is pushing it.
I think that the reason this game has been so successful is I remember when it first came out, I actually knew one of the guys that won the first one. Or somebody from Butte won, like either the first one or the second. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like.
And the thing was like, wow, this is pretty good odds, 150,000 tickets, you get $1 million, this prize structure. And I think that if you start trying to load margin into these games, similar conversation we had with Commissioner Iverson around scratch tickets and margins and things like that. The players, if you turn them off, it's like it's a fickle market, if you turn them on, I think that's what you guys are kind of, at least that's the progression of this game that I've seen over the years is that, hey, let's just keep kind of in keeping the game the same essentially. Like if you look at this 120,000 more tickets, additional prize structures down the line, another million, it's like almost adding additional game. And it seems like a more conservative approach than trying to really monkey and keeping the game structure the same in terms of the overall payout. And that way, at least when you go out market and sell it to the players and those people that are, like Janice said, waiting with their 20s on November 1st, they're confident that game is pretty, so they're playing the same game. Whereas if you take the thing and keep the game parameters the same, bump up a ticket price to 25 or 30 bucks, keep the payouts the same, and the lotteries is coming in and making all this money, then they feel like they're getting ripped off. Or they could potentially feel that way, and you could that's where you could upset the apple cart. So even if you went to 30, I think you would have to add another, you know what I'm saying? You'd have to add those lower level prize structures and keep that payout about the same and the margin the same. You know, I mean, that's kind of that's the trick that you guys are, that's the balance with all this stuff that is, I mean, the great thing the lottery has, if you look at margin, is the Powerball and Mega Millions, those guys, that's basically like a numbers racket. Yeah, it's 40 per, I mean, it's like, you know, the margins on those are fantastic. And I think when we look at our margin reports, we get spoiled by those a little bit. And we get into a more competitive game like this, a fickle game, we got to keep the players, you know, in mind. Are they going to support that thing? So that's where, to me, this approach makes sense. I'd entertain a motion to do it, or if we need some more time, maybe we could vote on email. Phil, I mean, what would be the drop dead deadline?
I mean, split the difference, I would say, between now and June, so.
Sometime in early May, if we wanted to give it some more thought, or I mean,
I
want
want
to just
to
give
motion to.
just give this a
move
shot.
forward Because,
Okay.
I mean, I've made my point, and you guys understand where I'm going.
Yeah.
So as we go down the road, if we can at least, you know, look at it a little. I don't like to come in here, have a meeting. And I think Commissioner Metropolis is getting to that where, boom, this is up here, it's an action item, we need to make a decision without a whole lot of data. I mean, I would like to see, when we talk about this, I'd like to see kind of a white paper that says, okay, if we went to $25, here's the projections. If we went to $30, here's the projection. And then, you know, either make a motion to do one of those or stay with what you guys. I mean, if we voted today to change it to $30, it would change, wouldn't it?
Yes.
But it's not your recommendation, and I respect it. So I'll make the motion.
And I'll second it. Very well. I really appreciate the back and forth, the discussion. Helps me understand your thinking. Your points are taken. You know, we've got a good game, a good product here. We don't.
Very good. Super successful.
Okay, well, we've had some public comment. We've had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Commissioner Taylor, are you ready to vote?
What's the motion exactly, please?
Is that the motion on the table is that we move forward with the proposed game change as presented.
Okay, thank you. I'll support that.
Okay, well, I will, without further discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right.
Bye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, hearing none, the new game has passed. Thank you so much for all your work
I
and the
appreciate
discussion. I think it's a
the
good discussion.
conversation so much. And going forward, I think that is something that we can do is provide options, you know, based on the discussion that we've had here today. We can also do a little bit more, you know, take a more scientific method at our, compiling feedback from players and sales agents, you know, to, and, you know, do some actual research. Again, we did some here, you know, about 2 years ago. But we can, you know, certainly look at that and look specifically at the increase in price point as, you know, part of that research. So and help us make that decision. So
I think it's a good problem to have.
Sure it is.
It is.
Okay, so Andy, you got more on the?
I do, I do, so I'll go ahead as quickly as possible. And just a reminder for you, we will be starting our promotion Lucky Every Day. We have done this promotion for many years now. Starting March 18th, players can enter any of their lotto game tickets for entries into drawings that we will hold in early April. We've established goals that include building sales of our lotto games, which, as you saw earlier, could certainly use a lift to decrease that sales gap from last year's performance. Secondarily, this promotion will help build our Players Club participation and provide our membership with incentive for being a member. And just going into sports real quick, provided here are two charts. The first is a look at fiscal year 24 handle breakdown, GGR and payout for the handle breakdown broken down by sport below the pie chart. Right of that is the same chart, but depicting the project to date handle data. And going back to this fiscal year, we have a total handle of 42 million and have paid out over $1.26 million to our sales agents and commission so far. And this narrows our view of our handle a bit to show where those wagers have been made. The majority of the handle for the most recent week's data came from our kiosks and sports wagering locations. And it would make sense that the largest number of wagers would also come from the machine as well, 90% as shown in the pie chart on the right. And on February 11th, the Chiefs and the 49ers faced off for the Super Bowl. And wagers for the game were very strong. As the chart indicates, the average wager did drop a bit. This is usually indicative of more introductory bettors coming into the product through this event. And when we look at the number of bets made for the event, there was clearly an increase in betting activity from last year's game. So this is great to see. Despite the average bet being lower, the total handle was higher by 30.7% from last year's Super Bowl. And then just to talk about what we've got going on in the marketing department coming up. There's a lot going on, obviously. We have sports bet and March Madness just around the corner. And we are preparing a lot of advertising assets and things to promote wagering during the March Madness time period. The Lucky Everyday promotion, as I spoke about, our Chevy Silverado launch. We also have other things in sports betting that are going to be occurring, such as the NBA and NHL playoffs and the start of baseball season. Montana Millionaire, obviously, that will be something that we continue to work on. Media planning for our fiscal year 25 is going to be starting very shortly, or actually already has started. And finalization of changing game parameters for the Mega Millions game. This will be something that we talk about in the next meeting, just to give you all a heads up. The Mega Millions group is changing Mega Millions, and we will have price structure and game parameters to present to you for consideration for that game change. And obviously monitoring our $30 scratch product. That is going to be, which we talked about, making sure that we're doing that. We gather as much information as we can. We will absolutely continue to look at the 30 in its performance. We have some new treasure play games that you'll be seeing here soon as well. And then of course the RFI and RFP process. That's going on. That's all I have. Are there any other questions for me?
I didn't see horse racing on.
That.
I've got another slides for that.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Fran? Appreciate all your work on everything.
Thank you.
We'll turn it over now. Looks like on the agenda to Director Costigan for security report.
Right. I'm not gonna let Phil go before me anymore because he takes half of my stuff. So,
You're welcome.
yeah. The first thing I want to talk about is game parameters. And we continue to attempt to tighten up some of the rules with sports. Occasionally we'll run into an issue with a particular bet or something along that line that we have to come back and look at the rules and say, how do we better explain this to the player? How does it better work? So we have, this time we have one specific game parameter change. We want to update the language to address how our system handles football touchdown scores with very specific language instead of solely relying on the player's knowledge of the football governing league rules. So if we have it in the rules here in our parameters, then we should be good to go. We're gonna clarify how the quarterbacks are and are not awarded touchdowns for certain wagers. That's just where it's at. So the change will read, it's just really an addition. You can see it down there in red. Touchdown scorers are awarded a touchdown based on the governing body or league rules. Player who catches the ball in the end zone or takes the ball into the end zone receives credit for a touchdown. The player passing the ball that results in a touchdown is not given the credit for a score. So it prevents that confusion by especially new players, what's what and where it falls into. And this is similar to other books that are out there. Questions on
And there's
that?
still bets for passing touchdowns, but that's a different bet,
Yeah,
different category.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this seems straightforward. I think we need a,
Move that down, will you?
we need a vote on this one. Ryan?
Yeah, we need public comment first and then.
Yeah, so any public comment on that one? Parameter change?
I'm not seeing any.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I would entertain a motion to update the game parameters for this touchdown. Okay, thanks, Commissioner Morris. Second. Okay, seconded, Commissioner Metropolis, further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay,
All right,
parameters passed.
thank you. Moving on to the security audit update, Phil pretty much covered all this already. But more importantly, besides the things that were identified, we find ourselves down here at the lottery in a perpetual state of audit. It never ends, and I get it, I understand it, but we're not the only ones that think that maybe they're spending too much time down here. The legislative auditor himself has made the comment to the committee, so we may see some changes upcoming here in the next legislature, proposed changes. I mean, I think I look at Armand, he's subject to a lottery audit, he's subject to the statewide audit.
Internal audit.
And another internal audit. So I mean, and then you have our security audit on top of that. You know, essentially they open an office here and they never leave. So it's the way it works out. So we may see some changes here and I just want to make sure you guys were aware of it. And we're gonna move on to the vendor site visits, which Phil also talked about. We also visited two vendors, Intralot and Elson. I conducted a review, both locations for security concerns and the procedures that could impact the lottery. So we make sure we're the server room that's like at Intralot, who has keys to it, who can get into it. Are our cameras, I can view that server room from here. Are the cameras properly set up? Are they working? All of that kind of stuff. We go through a laundry list of things when we're on site at those locations and check them. What are their access controls to their building? We let everybody under the sun in, and they get into certain areas. What's the physical security in addition to other things? No issues were identified. And then Phil and I, as he already mentioned, conducted a review of operational incidents with Intralot. So that's where we go through any of the issues we had in the previous year, making sure that they've addressed all of the items that we had previously identified. What's their plan for moving forward on any issues? So we finished that up on that. That's all I had. That was short and sweet. Cheers, Scott.
Good. Thanks, Brian. Any questions? Dr. Costigan? All right, 12. Thank you. Well, let's turn it over to Director Sales here to this final report there.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have really, as usual, anything to add of any great substance. I do want to say one last time, I really appreciate the work that's was on down here at the lottery. Got an outstanding staff, works very hard. And I lose arguments like you do all the time. In fact, we did have that exact same argument on multiple occasions. I also agree that on Millionaire is one of the few areas where the lottery has a lot of potential upside. So don't feel bad. I lose Dan all the
I
time.
didn't lose.
I didn't. I thought they were gonna say the price next year. I thought.
But it's been a great experience for me to have the opportunity and pleasure to serve down here. Want to thank the commissioners for your willingness to serve the state of Montana. And I know it's time consuming and you get very little compensation, but we do appreciate the work you've done on behalf of the lottery. And yeah, I can't say enough great things about roughly 3 years I've been here. And the performance, I'll just close, has been excellent. We're having another very good year, not quite as good as last year, but it would be hard to duplicate what transpired last year, but we're coming very close. And it's a combination of two things. Good decision making, well, three. Hard work, good decision making, and luck. And we are in the luck business down here, and we've been pretty lucky over the last 3 years. So with that said, I just want to thank everyone again. And if you get down to Gallatin County, look me up. I should be around, but it's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you. And yeah, thank you for your service for the last 3 years. The lottery's done, like you said, it's been great, and looking forward to the next chapter. What other business, some additional public comment? I don't know if anybody else has anything in the room for any of us, for the commission. Hands raised. That's anybody out there?
No hands raised.
Okay,
6 to the 13th.
hearing none, let's look at the next meeting date, proposed June 13th. These for us, I know right now. Okay. Commissioner Taylor, do you have any problem with the June 13th date as a potential?
Nope, see you then.
Good. All right, that sounds good.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
for the, we talked about the between the two doing it all or something. We're not gonna do that
No,
anymore.
they are.
No, that was just on the Millionaire if we needed it,
Okay.
you know, I mean,
Make sure.
unless you guys, and if you guys. Any more hopping on those calls isn't too big a deal. So if you ever, again, in kind of in the spirit of what Commissioner Morris said, if there's things that are kind of come up on that next meeting. Even if you shoot out an email to us, give us a couple weeks heads up. I know, I like, Phil, when I looked at the documents the other day, that website that you linked out to had a lot of this stuff on it. And I think it's in a good format. It's good, it's easy for us. I don't know if you guys had a chance to do that, but maybe a more formal ping to us on a specific issue and this site here.
That's
So-
available to the public.
Yeah, good. So, I guess with that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. All right. Call it a day then. Thank you.
We're hanging around.
Yeah, I'm hanging around. Okay.